And what we're seeing more of, Gabe, is we're seeing people that are in their late 40s and 50s that are now realizing that they're not on track. And that's probably the toughest one because they're so close to retirement age. And it's like,
this is the Money Seed Podcast, where we discuss all things investing, plain and simple, the way it should be. Please remember, this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice. Welcome back to the Money Seed Podcast. Today, my guest is Jerry Fetta from WealthDynamX.com, and Jerry is on a mission to help people achieve financial freedom. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Game. I'm excited to be here.
You know what, Jerry? Achieving financial freedom is a dream most of us, if not all of us, aspire to. And many people have different paths to get there, from starting their own business to the stock market to real estate, but you have a different path. Tell us about your preferred method and tell us about your company, Wealth Dynamics.
Yeah. So, I started my professional career as like a retail financial advisor is what I would call it. So I was more put money in retirement accounts, build that up. And then when we're in our 60s, we can draw off them and retire. And that's one of the main routes people take. And I call that deferment lifestyle. And it's the idea of I'm going to work at a job for the next 40 years and contribute and build up that nest egg. And then hopefully it turns 60. And then one of the considerations when you turn 60 is you want to make sure that you don't have yourself outlive the money. You want to make sure that you have the money there. When you die, you don't run out early, which is kind of a morbid way to think about it, is I want to die before the money runs out. And so that's something that I looked at it. I was like, I don't think I'm interested in that. Right. And part of my story is when I was, early in my career, my mom was my first client. And she actually was diagnosed with cancer at age 60. And so within 6 months, she had passed away. And so not only was that kind of like, that doesn't sound fun, but I watched the whole system unravel in front of me with someone that I loved very much in my life. And so I'm more focused on what I call financial independence. I want passive income that exceeds my savings, expenses, and taxes. And I want to do that over the next 5, 10, 15 years so I can enjoy and live life now rather than deferring it till later. So that's my belief on building wealth. I think that's done through income producing assets. And that's a big focus that we teach our clients is, even if we study the top 1% historically, that's how they did it too. So we're saying, let's find the most successful people. Let's look at the commonalities. Let's study the history and let's just do what they did.
That's it. And so tell us about the company you founded, WealthDynamX.com.
So Wealth Dynamics, is a company I kind of evolved over many years, right? So I started on the, let's buy term insurance and put everything in the 401k and the Roth IRA plan and pay off the house. And I started learning more about, again, what are the wealthy doing? And the wealthy are doing things like real estate, physical gold and silver. They're very heavy into life insurance. They invest a lot in themselves, businesses. They earn a lot of active income and they're very good at converting that into passive income. And so Wealth Dynamics, what that actually stands for is wealth as abundance and prosperity. And then dynamics refers to there's many different dynamics in life. So for us, wealth is abundance and prosperity in all dynamics of life. Right. And so I don't want to just have money. I want to have a good relationship. I want to have a strong family. I want to enjoy what I do for a living. I want to contribute to my churches and charities. I want to be in good physical health. Right. Like that's really what wealth means for me. And in this universe, it costs money to do all of that. Like I can't do that and not have money. So, we want to financially fund a life of abundance and prosperity in all dynamics. And so really what we do is 4 things is we work with families, individuals, entrepreneurs, in the US, Canada, and Puerto Rico at this time on number 1, financial education. The average American, they're going to spend 15 years of their life watching television. And if you give them a financial literacy assessment, they can only get about half the questions right. And that just shows, the education's not there. We're failing with our finances. Social Security Administration says 5 out of 100 people is going to be financially secure for retirement. The stats just aren't looking good. So we spend a lot of time educating people on the truth about money. Building financial solvency is another one. Building reserves, handling debt, making sure we're properly protected, getting our finances secure, and then achieving greater financial freedom. And that's that investing, building passive income. And the 4th thing is when someone knows that, I believe they have an ethical responsibility to teach others. I'm where I'm at today because I had an individual sit down with me and say, hey, look, I don't have to share all this with you, but you matter enough that I'm going to. And I think that anyone that learns this and gets this, it's now let's help the next guy up to the top of the mountain as well.
I agree completely that most Americans, unfortunately, will be disappointed with their 401k and the lifestyle that their 401k is going to fund in their retirement. And I'm really big on financial education. That's one of the reasons why I started this channel. So kudos to you. And I believe that on your website at wealthdynamics.com, you have a bunch of courses people can take, videos, etc. What does that look like?
Yeah, so we do a lot of free content. So just on social media, we release dozens and dozens of videos every single week on we did one that went viral on TikTok on credit leasing. How do you take your credit lines and actually lease those out as authorized user slots, and you can make $50 to $300 a month they're not even letting the people charge the credit card. It's just showing up on their credit report so they get the good points. You stay anonymous, they don't get access. So that was one that, just free education. Someone watches that video and does it, and it's like, boom, like there's a lot of value there.
Jerry, I'm 45. I've never heard of this. I can get a credit line and I can lease it out to somebody and earn an income.
Exactly. And you're not charging any debt. That's the beautiful. There's not this risk of they're going to use the money and borrow. It's no. They're paying me and it just goes on their credit report. And then they get good points because of my credit history.
That's wild. That's wild. There you go. That's amazing. I learn something new every day. Yeah. I mean, that's
exactly. And that's the kind of stuff we do on our website is like, for example, right now, there's a lot of bank failures. There's been, within a period of about 2 months, it's been an unsettling amount of very large, very well-known financial institutions going under. We had, the second and third largest bank failures in US history happen in the last 2 months. I have a friend in Austria. They had Credit Suisse Bank in Switzerland went under, which is the second largest bank in Switzerland. She said, yep, Deutsche Bank is about to go down as well. So we published an ebook on how to protect yourself against bank failures using the exact strategies the banks are using, 200-year-old concept. And so that's something that's on our website right now for free is a download on that. And that's the big thing is we want to help people. The information's out there. It's not that complicated. And if your learning track, like has been like mine, Gabe, it's like, it seemed complicated, and then you started learning and you're like, this isn't that complicated. How come more people don't know this? And then it's like, it's probably similar with you on the show. It's like, I've just got to share this and tell other people.
That's it. And I think people are generally very conservative with their money. I think everyone is terrified of losing money. And I think that's what really drives people toward money decisions, not necessarily look at all the wonderful things I could achieve or how my money could grow. I think it's more about loss preservation. I think that's kind of unfortunate. But tell me more, Jerry, other than the financial education, what other products and services do you offer?
So we do quite a bit. We do the financial education. Like I said, we also help families build solvency. And so with that, solvency is something that's super underrated. It's not talked about enough. That's, I earn more than I spend. I own more than I owe. I'm credit worthy. My liabilities are covered. I don't have a bunch of risks hanging out there. And that's the foundation of building wealth. I mean, a solvent person is going to be a much more successful investor than someone that's, I call it IWB, investing while broke. Someone that's investing while broke, usually they're the one that's trying to find, the shortcut to try and get rich really. And that's where you lose more money. They didn't have any in the first place. So when they lose it, they're like, yeah, no big deal. I didn't have anything to start with. Right. But we help a lot with solvency. So, we help families with something called the infinite banking concept. How do you become your own bank using whole life insurance? Which I used to be a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. So if you're familiar at all with Dave Ramsey and whole life insurance, it's like you never do whole life insurance.
Correct. Yeah.
So I learned all about that. I've been using that to grow my business and investments for years now. We work with clients all across the US and Canada. So that's one of the things we do. We help also with like debt resolution. If someone does have debt, how do we help them get out of that? Insurance services, tax planning, estate planning, real estate investing, self-directed retirement accounts. So we really have a full arsenal to take someone from very beginner stage all the way through to becoming an accredited investor, achieving financial independence. And then we recently partnered up with an international family office as well. So when a client does get ultra wealthy, we have a family office partner that can help them take that to the next level as well.
So Jerry, what does your typical client look like?
Oh, it's all over the map. So different demographics. We have people who, are young professionals. They're earning good income and they're like, I want to do the right thing with it. Right. And so that's someone that we have come across our path quite a bit. The other one is someone that they're married, they have kids, they're doing all the right things. They're putting money in the 401k, they're trying to pay off their consumer debt, but they just feel like something's off and they just can't get ahead. And it's like, these are the people where it's easy to redirect them. We have a guy that I just met with yesterday. He set up his first infinite banking policy with us. And so I sat down with them the other day and we're like, okay, cool. What's next? And it's like, okay, well, because of what we've helped him with, he's now saving $5,000 a month cash. He's maxing out his 401k at work. He's like, I'm not into Wall Street. So I was like, great. We work with a registered investment advisor. Do you know about the self-directed open brokerage window? And he's like, well, no. And that's a provision that's in some 401k plans that allows someone to self-direct their 401k while they still work there. You don't have to leave the company. There's no penalties. There's no taxes, not a rollover. It's you have a registered investment advisor that goes into your plan docs, finds that provision, unlocks that window, and boom, you can now go own real estate in your 401k at work. So that's a client that we see a lot of, is like the kind of the average upper middle class American family doing everything we're taught to do. And they're like, there's got to be a better way. Right. And so that's one. We work with quite a few entrepreneurs. We work with high net worth individuals as well. And what we're seeing more of, Gabe, is we're seeing people that are in their late 40s and 50s that are now realizing that they're not on track. And that's probably the toughest one because they're so close to retirement age. And it's like, they might have built up a decent nest egg. They've paid off some debt, but they're looking at it and they're like, I've got 5 years left. And I know I'm not mathematically on track with the current plan. So we've had more of those guys reaching out to us saying, hey, look, can I get help? Can I get a redirect? Because I want to be able to make this financial independence thing real. And I don't want to work till I'm 85.
It sounds like you guys offer a complete package, right? Financial education, financial coaching, financial planning, and you also help connect people with other types of investments. I think that's really cool. It's like a one-stop shop for somebody who wants to get their retirement planning in order. That's really cool.
For sure. And yeah, it is.
I'm glad you brought up the whole Dave Ramsey infinite banking thing, because there was a video online a few years ago where Dave Ramsey really trashed the whole infinite banking concept. But I think that's also been debunked a little bit. And I've met several people. You're probably the third or fourth guest I've had on the show now who's into infinite banking and says, look, infinite banking works and it's a product. And I think Dave Ramsey's criticism is maybe unfair, or maybe Dave is trying to speak to a certain type of individuals that make up the majority of his viewers. But yeah, infinite banking seems like quite a good concept for many people. A little bit more on the infinite banking, Jerry. How long does it take? How many years do you have to fund it typically before you can start making withdrawals and you can actually see it work for you?
Yeah. So if it's done right, it's immediately. So if you set up a policy correctly, and I stress correctly because only about 1% of life insurance policies are designed correctly. It's got to be the right company, not only the right company, the illustration has to be put together correctly. And then on the back end, you need an agent that actually knows what to do. I can give you a souped up Ferrari with all these cool bells, whistles, and technology. If I've never driven it before, I can't be much help to you when you're like, cool, how do I drive this thing now? So, when we set them up correctly, like you have $1 going in, and we just keep it simple. You have $1 going in. That dollar is going to be guaranteed against loss, guaranteed to grow, protected from taxes, protected from creditors, protected from lawsuits. You've got a death benefit. They're not doing fractional reserve banking. So your money is actually fully allocated, which is a huge plus right now in the current banking environment. So it's got, from my opinion, it's the safest place I can put money. So it's the money that I want to put where I don't want to ever lose it. That dollar is going to grow at 3 to 5% per year, compounding annual growth rate, for the rest of my life, right? That's contractually, like you've got guaranteed minimums plus your dividends. It's been happening for 200 years now. So I can expect that that's kind of the range I would see, and I can borrow immediately. I'm talking like the first 2 weeks, the first month. I can borrow 70 to 90% of what I've put in, and my full dollar will still be there growing at 3 to 5% like it never left. And that's the concept done right. Again, it's got to be structured correctly. I also need to pay my loans back. If I'm a bank would never loan money to someone and be like, yeah, never pay it back. There'd be a requirement of paying the loans back. So I need to do that part of it as well.
Your website is a wealth of information. I believe you have, give or take, 10 books on there. Your latest book, I think, is called The Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Tell us more about the book.
Yeah, and actually, I just wrote two or three more. So I wrote Man in the Arena, which we published about 2 months ago, and then I wrote the one on how to protect from bank failures, and then we just published one on self-directed retirement plans. So we've been doing a lot of writing, but Blueprint to Financial Freedom is probably one of my favorite books. And the reason why I wrote that book is, I've been doing this since I was 18. I'm turning 31 this month, and I can tell you how confused people get when they grab an interesting concept and add it to their portfolio in the wrong sequence. And so I usually will meet people after they've listened to a lot of videos, podcasts, books, and whatever. And so it's kind of like building a house. They're like, okay, apparently I need hammers. Let me get a hammer. Apparently I need windows. Let me go buy those. So they're kind of buying, and shooting from the hip with their different products and services. And 3 to 5 years into it, it's this confused, jumbled up mess. And so I believe the thing that's been overlooked with that is sequence, doing things at the right time and in the right order. Very important in life is just sequences happen. That's a thing, right? And so with finances, there's also a sequence. And so we basically looked at, for me, I've been studying wealth and the top 1% for the last, I don't know what that is, 12 years or something now. And I kept seeing commonalities, and I kept on seeing too that their wealth was generational, and the next generation, when it was done right, picked up where the previous one left off. There was no guesswork. And it's like they had a playbook, like here's exactly what you do and here's when you do it, and you just follow the playbook. And so we looked at like what are the common denominators, and we put together from someone that's completely financially illiterate to being financial independent, what's the exact step-by-step, all the tools you need, the right sequence, the right teams to go work with, how to do them, etc. Boom, 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 boom. And I wrote it to where like, it's really cool. We've had people email in. They're like, hey, I read the book. I've done this all by myself. I'm now almost financially independent, or I've got passive income and I've got no more debt and I've got my banking policy. So I wrote it where someone could take it and do it all by themselves, right? Because I'm kind of that kind of person. Now, if they want help, then they can reach out and we'll be like, great, let's help you get through this thing. But that really is what the blueprint's about. Is it's like dominoes. If you line them up and you hit the first one, the rest of them, they're going to fall in order.
And I'll put a link to the book in the show notes. Jerry, as we wrap up this quick interview here, I just want to double down and say, I love what you're doing. I love the mission behind and the purpose behind your work. Where can people reach you to learn more?
So definitely on social media. We're probably the most active on Instagram and TikTok. And we keep it pretty easy. It's just my first and last name. So if you find me, Jerry Fetta, that's JerryFetta. And again, follow us there. Like I mentioned, and I know you'll post the book, the blueprint, but there's also the free how to protect yourself from bank failures. So if anyone wants to grab that, there's a free book there. There's a course that's included for free. That's jerryfetta.com/bankfail. And so we just have a ton of content out there. So wherever you're at, social media, podcasts, internet, website, we have all of it out there, but probably TikTok and Instagram is the best.
Jerry Fetta from wealthdynamics.com. Thank you very much for your time today.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, Gabe.
Hey, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Money Seat Podcast. Please remember to click like and subscribe. It really helps spread the message to other investors, and it helps attract new viewers to the show. We appreciate your support. Thanks very much.